Welcome everyone to another episode of the Train Studio. I'm your host, Sean Morris. Today on the Train Studio sort of watch me work video, I'm going to attempt to answer some of the questions that have popped up in the videos over the last couple days. What I'm working on today as I'm chatting is I'm just going in and putting on the third layer of snow on these buildings here. I'm just going to do the final build up, and then I'm going to do some spraying over the top, and then kind of get that intermediate and sort of dusting of snow put on the buildings. So just some things that of note that have popped up over the last day or so. Seems to be some sort of wristband joke that I'm unaware of on the internet. I see some people are taking some let's say liberties with displaying their wristbands in videos. I'm not sure the context of the joke, but I'm sure somehow I am the butt of that joke. You probably notice in videos I do have several wristbands on. Each of my wristbands has sort of a significant meaning to me, and that's why I wear them. But I see that Gun Barrel might be taking a little bit of flack about having a similar wristband to me, and I don't presume to know the reason he wears his, but shouldn't give people a hard time about what they like to wear. I know it's all in good fun, but take it easy on the guy. He's doing a super job with his videos, and obviously his painting is top notch. So both categories I am not in, but in terms of wristbands, maybe not. Maybe I'm second to British Legion since he has much fancier wristbands than myself. But I wear mine for certain reasons, and that's why I have them on. So also some other questions somebody was asking me today, and I did reply via text, but I will talk about it. Asking me if I think that KTs, meaning king tigers, are worth it, and my response is I personally think they are worth the points. 305 points is a lot for a unit, certainly with the new late war 1605 point limit. They are certainly a pretty penny, a little less than 20% of your list. And considering I like to run them in twos, we're talking 600 points of 1650. So now we're talking some significant points. I'll give you some reasoning why I do like the King Tigers and why I think they're worth the points. You can take them in platoons of one. Certainly running an HQ of a King Tiger gives you 2 Tiger Ace skills. So if you're lucky enough to get, let's say, a King Tiger with For the Fatherland with the motivation on 2 up, that certainly makes your HQ got a really good chance of keeping you in the game. Also, the rate of fire 3 is great, but I prefer the reroll misses. Obviously, if you're lucky enough to get reroll misses with rate of fire 3, that's a really deadly combination, and it's able to put down a lot of fire that really scares your opponent. The ability to run them as a platoon of 1, so counting as one tank counting as a platoon, really ensures that you have a rock solid platoon that's on the table. There's not a lot that can scratch the King Tiger in the front armor. So certainly having a nearly indestructible platoon in terms of direct fire AT against it is nice. It creates a large area of denial. Being 1 tank, it's able to cover a lot, considering that it is only 1 tank. With the 40-inch range, the AT-16, rate of fire 2. You don't need to move your King Tiger for it to have a nice threat range. It certainly can reach out and hurt your opponent from anywhere on the table, and that's a very valuable asset to have. When the most success I've had with them was running them in my Piper list, and the Piper list itself wasn't overly successful for me. Certainly not at the ETC this year, but my King Tigers were what were really keeping me in the games, and they were really the bullet magnets, the units that were drawing a lot of attention. Certainly, your opponent's air will give them a run, and you need to make sure you keep them protected from that. But for sheer killing power, they'll make Panthers and Tigers, heavy Soviet tanks. They'll make them all hide, and then what you're doing is you're neutralizing a threat by simply having a presence on the table, and you can do it via one tank. You're not worried about a platoon. You can make a platoon of tanks want to hide from your King Tigers just because of its power. So outside of the attributes that the King Tiger has, it brings a lot to the table in terms of a psychological game. Simply the presence on the table and the fact that your opponent knows that it's a King Tiger can, in some senses, scare your opponent away or make them have a change of tactics. And I'm not saying that all people are going to do that. Certainly the good players will know how to neutralize that. And there is some ways to neutralize a King Tiger, and certainly smoke is probably the most prominent one, but smoking only implies that your opponent's going to need to move his King Tiger. So you need to use smoke in conjunction with flanking opportunities, and you need to use your smoke to advance under cover and kind of get out of the threat range or to get in tight against the King Tigers, because certainly its inability to put down enough defensive fire as a single tank to stop assaults against it is one of its weaknesses. So certainly everything has a weakness, and by the way, that building there, you guys can see, has been layered up with the snow, so you can really see the depth, I think, on that. So that's going to just get a quick spray right now. So just give those you can see it's a little wet now, so just give it a really good blast just to sort of seal that stuff in. Don't really worry about the scenic, except for when I drop it like that. I don't really worry about the edges of the building getting wet or saturated, because it dries clear, and you can virtually not see any residue when it's all done. So yeah, that's King Tigers, are they worth it? Yeah. Can they do nothing in a game? Absolutely, but you can have lots of units in a game that don't sort of hold their value point wise. So King Tigers are a great asset. They work great in infantry lists too. If you're really looking for some long range AT, you can do that as well. Certainly running them with the Conf Group Piper list. Had some good moments. I had some good practice games with it. I had some not good games. I had some really close losses, but not enough to say I wouldn't take KTs. Just know that when you take them, you need to use them correctly, and likely your opponent will do one of two things: concentrate everything on it till it's gone, or work to really avoid it. And you have to use both of those to your advantage. So that's a bit about KTs. Some people were asking me about the new point lists. Points for the Russians. Now, I didn't have a great look at them because I don't play Soviets, but the little bit that I did look at looks like they really got a huge buff. Now, one thing I can comment on is they got enough of a points buff that I think we're actually going to run a Soviet tank list at the next DTC, just surely based on the initial point cost that we saw. For instance, the rockets are almost half price, so they're suddenly a hugely viable unit, and obviously if anybody has an interest in the rockets, they suddenly became that much more attractive to you in terms of running them. And I think Battlefront, did they undercost some things? Perhaps. Is it going to be a great way to get people back playing their Soviets? Absolutely. And is it going to be good for marketing? Absolutely, because Russians are cheap, but cheap model-wise in terms of points, but they cost just the same amount as any other tank or infantry platoon, and you need that many more of them. So it's a great way to increase sales. And I don't mean that as a slight in the least. I just mean it's a great tactic. You know, you're probably not having a lot of people buying Soviets because their point values aren't or weren't, sorry, in line with other units or other nations, and now suddenly they are brought into alignment, and now they're more viable, so people are going to use them, and obviously sales will likely increase. So kudos to them, and I think it's a plus for the game because, you know, it's no fun going to a tournament playing, you know, 9 American second ID or 99 ID infantry lists, and you know you got a couple tank lists, maybe mostly American. So that's a nice change. I think it will create a nice change. So we'll have to see, and time will tell. But I think overall the point break is nice and good for them to do that. So I am just going to finish up this building here, and then I'm going to come back and give you guys a rundown of some other things. I'll do some other responses, and notice there's a couple questions about products, so I'll grab those, and then I'll just talk briefly about that. So put this video up now, and then I'll catch you guys on the in the next Watch Me Work. So thanks for watching, guys, and talk to you later. Cheers.